This episode of the Stickers N Scuffs Podcast is presented in partnership with Mighty Wipes, an all-natural unscented wipe that is now available in Canada. Designed to cater to the needs of racers and homemakers alike, Mighty Wipes offers a versatile range of products that are sure to impress. Their automotive degreaser is specially formulated to tackle the toughest grease and grime, making it perfect for racers who demand nothing but the best. Meanwhile, their kitchen and barbecue degreaser is perfect for use at home, ensuring that your kitchen and barbecue are always clean and grease-free. Mighty Wipes also has soapy hand wipes that are designed to keep your hands moisturized and clean, made with all natural ingredients. They're gentle on the skin and are perfect for use on the go. Whether you're home or on the road, Mighty Wipes has got you covered. We at the Stickers N Scuffs Podcast are proud to have Mighty Wipes as a partner. If you're looking for reliable and effective wipes that's all natural and unscented, look no further than Mighty Wipes. Head to www.canadawipes.com to find out where you can get your Mighty Wipes today.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team at Stickers N Scuffs Podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
Hello, friends. This is Cam K, Graydon Bun, with Stickers N Scuffs in our newest episode presented in partnership with our good friends at Mighty Wipes. We're bringing on somebody from a division that has really become a favorite of mine, a favorite of both of ours out at Sunset Speedway, the mini stock division, which is full of characters, great racers, and lots of fun. Cameron McGlashan, a fellow Cameron, is on the show, which means this is obviously going to be the highest rated podcast of the year, right along with our episode with Cam Thompson. There's just something about the name Cameron that brings success.
The dual overhead Cam episodes are the best ones.
Dual overhead, yeah. I mean, I can't wait for when we have you, Cam Thompson, and myself, just an episode of Cams.
Triple Cams, holy shit.
Yeah, triple Cams. But Cameron, man, thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure, boys. I listen to podcasts all day at work. I've listened to many of your shows, so I'm excited to be on and give myself a listen on Wednesday or whenever this comes out. It should be good.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you say that, because you know what? A lot of people don't like listening to themselves after they've been on the show. They don't like watching themselves. I am one of them. Host of the show, and I absolutely hate watching myself back. I think I sound awful. And,
I'm not a viewer.
Yeah. I'm not like Graydon. I can't be drinking beer during the show to not think about it. But, anyways, what we will say is really got an opportunity to go to Sunset Speedway this year. And, man, I have just fallen in love with this division so very much. And you guys, you've got a collective group that all seems to be very supportive of our podcast. And we've gotten on, I think, 3/4 of the mini stocks at Sunset. Man, you've raced there for a couple years. How do things feel? Because this year, it seems like they are firing on all cylinders and really getting a lot of attention.
It's definitely been a huge bounce back year. I know last year when I won my feature race, I believe there's only 11 or 12 cars there that night. So it was one of our lowest nights we've had since I started racing. But this season, we've been a solid 20 plus every week. Ty's back. He's been off for a few years. Doug's back full time. You have a lot of new people. Doug Wilman's back. You got Austin. Ryder White was there for a while. You have a lot of new people. Sam Shaw's brother Blaze is there. So it seems to be alive and well at Sunset, and they're promoting the heck out of everything, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. So it's working. The crowds have been probably the biggest I've seen there since pre-COVID. So it's nice to go out there and finish third out of 25 cars than it is to win out of 12 kind of thing. So it's been a great year. We haven't quite got a checkered flag yet, but we're getting closer and closer every week. So we'll see what happens here in the last few weeks.
It's definitely been like that. Definitely been like that this year. Yeah.
Yeah, you just spoke to it, but the competition level. I mean, there's people. The rise of the mini stocks and the bone stocks, like the 4-cylinder class, is kind of what it used to be like for like Thunder cars and stuff back in like the 80s and stuff like that. It's the more affordable way to go racing, and when you have car counts like that, we always say it doesn't matter the discipline so long as you have a even parity throughout a field. If you have 20 cars that are 4-cylinders, you don't have to go setting record lap times as long as they're battling side by side throughout, and you get to be a part of it. Is pretty rad too, eh?
Yeah. I mean, people have been asking me for years when I'm going to move up and stuff like that, but honestly, the mini stocks is way more competitive than I believe anybody gives it credit for. A lot
Absolutely.
of people in higher up classes don't realize, I think, how competitive our class actually is. Not last weekend, but the last time we raced 2 weeks ago, the top 7 cars at Sunset were all within, I believe, a tenth or a tenth and a half of each other, and we'd all gone just about the fastest we had all year. So, I mean, the competition is crazy intense. It's super economically friendly. Like, I'm not a rich person by any means, but I can run 4-cylinder no problem, and it doesn't really affect, mine and Andrea's life any financially. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as long as I can continue to race it, and as long as there's a place to race, hopefully we can be there and be putting on a show for everybody.
Nice.
That is really it's interesting that you say that.
That's an endorsement for the discipline, is it not?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's, and what's nice about this is the last thing that you just said, the place to race. That's been a really big hurdle, I think, for a lot of racers, is that there is a lack of places to race. So if it's not working at the track that you're at, that's a problem. And ultimately, Sunset Speedway has definitely created a ton of hype. Did you ever think that you would be on a trading card sold in a package at a racetrack? I talked to Graydon about this. I didn't know, actually. Peterborough did this a couple years ago. What a cool initiative. And just for you, like, as a racer, now you've got like a really cool merch concept that not every racer has got.
Well, it was pretty cool because me and my dad have gone and we followed the Oscar Super Late Models a lot when I grew up. We did the Dice All-Star Series for a long time, and they actually did trading cards, I believe, if I remember correct. So Andrea's uncle is Alan Engels, and he raced in it. So like when we got together, we've looked at cards that he has from like 2003 or whatever year, and I mean, it's really cool to see that. And, Spencer bringing that idea was huge. Like, I believe they sold out before 6 p.m. even started on the weekend. And the pits, like, people didn't even really seem to care about racing. We were all just running around trying to trade cards with each other and get signatures and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was a cool deal, man. I mean, you got to try different stuff to get people engaged in this stuff and to get kids interested. Because if you don't get the next generation to come up and be interested, the sport's just going to die, right?
Yeah. Kids, hold on. I'm 32. I wanted a pack of those, and to find out they're all.
I'm 30, so I'm not far behind you.
There we go. And I said I wanted to get, like, we've got, but what I was talking to somebody at the track, from the track, and saying there's so much more potential for this, because now with us, like as SNS drivers, we can now use that as something that we can use for promotion. Collect all the SNS drivers in the mini stock division, and you get this. It helps racers. It helps, like you said, get the conversation out there. And as a kid, I mean, I grew up, you would have grown up at the same time with the Pokemon cards, the Digimon cards. That was what we did, was trade cards. I think it was Yu-Gi-Oh! And then there was Beyblades, and then there was Crazy Bones for a time. Remember those things way back then? Yeah, Crazy Bones, right?
Yeah.
But everyone goes to Pogs, I guess, was the initial one, right, Graydon? That's probably your Marvel's.
No, man, no, I didn't even do that. That was
Jacks, maybe that's back at your time. I don't know, Hopscotch.
Hopscotch.
There's
read between the lines.
I love you, buddy. There literally is. I mean, I looked at that and it's like, it's almost as good as having a diecast car that you could trade with somebody, because it's your stats, your company, your number, but all of your partners are also being utilized on it. And we've always talked about, it is very difficult for partnerships for you to be able to give back to your partners. But this is something that you could give to a partner, go, not going to brag here, but you're on a trading card, platinum card here, Cameron McGlashan rookie card or something like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's lots of options out of this, a junior late model rookie card,
Like I'm sponsored by like Daryl and Tammy that make the custom diecast for everybody. And, they just brought me my car for this year. And this is the year I've had the most sponsorship support. And like half of my buddies are like, I need a car like that with my name on it. Like, it's the coolest thing in the world, right? So, and I know Daryl and a few other people messaged me like, you can get a card, like get me as many of these cards as you can. And I'm like, there's only 11 of mine. I don't know if I can track them all down, but I'll try my best anyway. So it should be good, because I think I was told that they're going to have another round of them for this weekend. And I believe this weekend is our next round of autograph sessions. So this could be another huge weekend for them to have that. And then you can come down and get the cards signed right then and there, which would be ideal, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. And that's what, like, we talk about, like the old school days of racing in the mom and pop sponsored company, like the companies that would sponsor drivers, and you go into their store and you could get like a driver poster or something like that and take it to the track. And it's that kind of stuff that what goes around comes around. That age-old stuff worked, and it still does. I mean, there's no better engagement than having something that you can take to the driver at the track and get them to sign. And these cards are just like, it's old school, but I mean, like I say, what's old is new again, and that's a super cool thing that, like you say, everybody's buzzing at the track about having these cards. I mean, I would say that's probably a marketing experiment that's gone pretty well.
Well, and it's such a simple concept when you really think about it. Like, I don't think that, like, Spencer came around, took all of our photos like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He obviously had photos of your car already, or took a better one, right? And then he threw it together, which obviously takes a bit of time, but like, I feel like it was relatively simple for such a huge success, right?
Yeah, like not seriously bank-breaking marketing, and like engagement coming out the wazoo, like mission accomplished big time. So kudos to them. I mean,
like 45 packs on the weekend. He walked up and was like, I'll take 45 packs of these things. Like, that's
wow
to me,
So there you go. Like, I mean, speak to the like, we've done this with a few Sunset drivers this year, and I mean, it's just the way they've knocked it out of the park with their marketing this year. I mean, what's it like to be a part of that on the competition side, to see that, like, to have the promotional backing that you had, like, come and see these guys race, because like, this is the class to see.
Well, it's good because, I mean, you can go to your sponsors and be like, like Rick Spencer Walt say, like, he can go and be like, I had 200,000 people look at this video of me, or whatever, like, because Twitter shows you how many people see everything you're doing, right? So I mean, we can only promote it on our own pages so much, because you have 400, 500, 600 people like your page, but you're kind of hitting the same audience week after week, where like Sunset has 14,000 people like their page, right? So I mean, you're getting such a more broadband audience, and they haven't really done a lot. It was kind of quiet through COVID and stuff like that, so it's nice to really bring a bang to everybody, like, we're back, we're thriving. Come check out our drivers, and it's good so far.
I think people don't realize how close there is racing to home. I think that's the reality of it. I think most people, they see what they see on television. That's the reality. I think a lot of people, they know of the Cup Series, they know of IndyCar, they know of Formula One. They have no idea how close racing is. And for Sunset Speedway, it's relatively the closest to the GTA. So you would think that there would be that huge market. It is always very difficult to pull people into the racetrack, but based off of what you've said, and based off of the experience that I had there earlier this year, even just for the Ontario Sportsman Series, last year we had it seemed like a dead crowd when we were there. There was no one there for our race when we were there. This time around, I couldn't believe how many people were there for our race. It was packed from turn one all the way around to the beer garden, and it wasn't as like Pinty's level or APC, but just the fact that there was that many people there, that then you can do an autograph session, which you have people seeing those cars, especially for a touring series like the OSS. It is harder to build a fan base because you're not in one stationary spot the whole time. But then they also get to have a Billy Zardo, somebody from the local track, come in and race with the touring series. So this seems like benefits all around Sunset Speedway this year. For yourself, the championship season hasn't been what you were hoping for, I think. But you also made a big mention that you, Tyler Seaboyer coming back. You have last year's champion Jason Dantimo, obviously Doug Butler, who's been on fire since he's returned. The competition level is absolutely insane in the mini stock division, and really every week it is a hotly contested race. There isn't a straight out winner each and every week. Doug was getting up front quite a bit early in the season, but it seems like it accordion back. What has been the biggest challenge for you guys this year? Has it been the field? Has it been the car? Just the way the track's been?
Honestly, it's been me.
Okay.
Like when you look back on the first couple weeks, like there's a lot of things I could have done and probably should have done different. But like I entered this year, like last year, I basically had the championship wrapped up. I had like a 70-point lead, and then a fuel filter collapsed, pulling out on the track, and I was unable to take the green, and I lost the championship. So that really stung. And last year, like points racing eats me alive personally. I'm sure it does a lot of people, but so this year I was kind of like the first night I blew up, which is like seems like a yearly thing for me now for some reason. But
that hurt watching that. That hurt seeing that. Yeah.
So Bob was nice enough to lend me his car, but we finished 5th opening night. So it was like, I don't want to say the season was kind of like, well, this might be hard to come back from, but I was kind of like, well, you know what, whatever now, right? So the next week we had a chance to win the race, and I made a move on the 77 on the last lap that Doug was broke and he was sitting on pit road, and it was white flag. And if I didn't make that move, I probably, could have finished second. He would have finished 12th. But because of that, they re-racked it. I got a DNF. He actually came back out of the pits and somehow finished second, which was incredible. And then, 2 weeks later, I was running 4th, and we made contact with the car for 3rd on the last lap again. Lost another 10, 15 spots. So, I mean, you look at it, I probably gave away 25 points this year just in those 2 weeks. But I mean, when you're in the moment, you don't care about anything like that. Like you just see one car and you're like, I want to win. I don't care what happens, right? So I mean, we're 3rd behind those 2 guys, which is about where I feel like we belong. So I mean, it's been a good season. I mean, you never know what can happen. There's a couple weeks left here, so we're way better than we were last year. We've picked up over a half second of lap time speed from last year to this year, and it's the exact same power plant as last year, so it's pure setup as what the speed gain is. So Josh and Phil Bullen have been helping me a lot this year. So we made huge improvements every week. We ran the fastest we have all year, and I probably ran in 4 or 5 years last weekend. So we're progressing in the right direction. So fingers crossed, maybe Doug will let somebody else win for once these next couple of weeks.
Man,
I don't know.
That whole analysis, though, I mean, it shows that you have your feet on the ground and you got perspective. I mean, that it's easy to say that, like what you just said. It's not easy to say, I should say, that like the emotion gets better of you. You see the guy in front of you or the girl in front of you, and you just want to get that position. And to hell with points. And sometimes it's just, that's the way racing is, right? It's an emotional thing. Like the heat of the moment is a concept that not everyone can always relate to in a racing sense, but I think everyone can relate to it. Like there's just moments in certain situations where you just feel like you gotta pull the trigger and consequences be damned.
Well, if you ask anybody that I've raced against my whole career, they'll probably tell you that I'm almost too aggressive, probably. Because, I'm not scared to go 3 wide. Sunset's very wide. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do it, honestly. And I'll go 3 wide every restart. I'll go 3 wide the whole race. I don't care. And, a lot of times, I've won a lot of races doing it that way, but I've also crashed a bunch doing that. I mean, it's a risk versus reward thing, right? I mean, you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? So if you're scared, you're never going to win. I can tell you that right now.
Hell yeah.
Definitely true. So how did the whole thing come to you, Cameron? Like where was your progression? Obviously, we know kind of the chain of drivers nowadays is junior lates, and then they move up from junior lates to bone stocks, and then they go to mini stocks, et cetera, et cetera. So for yourself, how far back does this do we go to where you started your career?
I started in 2015. So basically, what you see is what you get, kind of thing. I spent most of my teenage years begging my parents to buy me a race car to go race at Barrie Speedway because we literally live like 2 kilometers away from it. And my dad took me to Innisfil Kartways to buy a go-kart, and I was going to start racing at 14. And then as soon as my mom seen the gas tank was between the legs, she said, "No way, Jose, that's not happening." I kind of put my career on hold until I became old enough. And I was like, all right, I got the money. I'm just doing this. So I went to GoPro Motorplex with my buddy in North Carolina in 2014 in the fall, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's just time. So I went and bought a car, and my plan was to race Barrie Speedway, but that was actually the winter that it closed. So we went to Sunset, and we had so many cars that they made the Mighty Mini, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest with you, because had I been thrown in there with McFerrin and House and Butler and all them, I might have lost my go-get-it attitude way long before this, right? So we started then, and just kind of been plugging away. I sold my car after the championship in 17 so that me and Andre could buy a house, because I didn't think I'd be able to afford it. Looking back on, I should have just stuck it in the garage for a year or two and then brought it back. But, we bought this car off of a guy in Varney just before COVID hit, and we've just been slowly progressing with it. But, it hasn't been very long, to be honest. Like, I've only actually raced maybe 6 full seasons, so it's been a short time, but a good time anyways.
I love hearing this because this is, again, you only normally hear about those stories where nowadays we hear about the drivers that start at 6 or 7 years old, right? But that's not the reality for a lot of racers that get the opportunity. Yeah, exactly. You get the opportunity to start a little bit later. And, one of the things that obviously I want to hear, and it's only because it makes me sad, but you mentioned it, and I want to know some of the memories from Barrie Speedway because I never got a chance to see it. I only got to see it from the outside when there was a legend testing there, and that was it.
You never got in there, bud?
I never got to see a race there. We were going to go, and I believe it got rained out the year that we were going, and so I only ever saw it from the outside, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So I really want to hear about your memories from Barrie.
So I can't even tell you the first time I went there. I went there like my whole life. So my uncle owned a trucking company, and it was like gravel trucks, and my dad was the main guy and everything, and we used to actually, I think it was during the Brad Moran owned days, my dad would supply the track with the gravel that went around the fence where you walked and stuff, and in exchange, me and my dad got seasons passes for free. So we actually had a spot up by the big Pepsi can. You won't know where that is. Maybe you do, but
yeah, I know.
So we went there with another family, and we had a section actually sectioned off for us, and we'd sit there, and every week I'd go there, and I actually went to school with Jim Bolesky's daughter. So he was one of my favorites in Superstock, and a guy named Keith McLeod, you might have heard of him. He ran late model for a long time. And we'd go down, and he'd let me sit in his car, and his wife was the best cook I've ever had. So we would always get treats after the race and stuff. And it just progressed. I probably started going there when I was 4, and went there right up until it closed pretty well. And I did King of the Hill there quite a few times. I had a Trans Am that I went around in, and that was my first piece of racing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I was 19 or 20, and I didn't think my dream of racing was ever going to happen. But I was like, you know what? I went to school with Mike Brown's son, Jesse. And I said to Mike, he didn't really have any sponsors at the time. I was like, hey, I'll give you like $500 or $600 or something. Like, can you just put my name on the car? So he did. And we actually have photos of it. And that was just kind of weird stuff that we did, to get into racing, and it just kind of progressed from there. But Barry was awesome, man. I wish you could have experienced it. It's a shame it went away because like it was on the 8th line of Oro and I literally lived on the 11th. So like I probably could have drove my race car there. Like that's how close it was. So
yeah, that's why. Yeah, that'd be a wicked. Because I'm curious how similar. I don't know. You drove it in King of the Hill, so it's a little different. But
I feel like it's totally different. It was like a D
totally,
shape, and like
yeah,
the straightaway seemed like half the distance of Sunset. Like I'm sure it's not that much different, but it seemed way shorter, and like the turns were way longer. Where Sunset, you seem like you're going straight a lot longer than there. You're always turning on the backstretch. It seemed like, at least in King of the Hill, anyways.
That was the first place I ever saw car racing, and I took my sons in 2014 when they were just little guys, and that was the first place they ever saw live racing too. So I mean, that's kind of a place that we kind of hold dear to us too, and we have our various speedway decals. I bought them because like we knew it was going to be kind of near the end there. It was
we took the wraps off the garbage can that said like NASCAR. Nice. It's hung up in my garage still, actually, to this day.
Cool.
So.
It's a neat memory. I mean, it's sad that it's gone, but I mean, it's a cool memory that at least, like, my boys are old enough to remember going there. I mean, they can't remember it specifically. There was a wreck in, I can't even remember what class it was, but like they red flagged it, and like everybody was out of their cars, and like there was like brawls happening on the track and everything. The boys were just like just little kids who were like, "Oh my god, let's go get some food or something right now." But I was like, "Wow, this is crazy!
I think awesome." That might actually be on YouTube if I'm not mistaken.
It probably is.
I think it's on YouTube.
It was like the equivalent of like the baseball bench clearing brawl. Like it was just like everybody was out of their cars just beating the hell out of each other. It was crazy. So essentially that's maybe not an endorsement to the racing at the time, but it was just, we're chalking that up to that emotional the heat of the moment that we were speaking of earlier.
Yeah. You would have never ever get into an argument with somebody and get physical. Never, ever, right? So I'm not trying to age anybody here, but was anybody that racing at Barrie Speedway when you were watching them way back when that you now get to race with on, or at least during the same weekend, that's on the tracks at not the same time as you, but maybe the same weekend?
So like Alan Ingalls is still racing. He's from there. So Rick Walt, I've actually spotted for him quite a bit over the years, and he raced a lot there. Like he was probably later in the years, like doing 4-cylinder stuff and undercars for Gord there at the end, right? But there's honestly not that many. Like a lot of the mini stock people, I feel like came to Sunset, but like a lot of the late model people just kind of faded away when it closed. It was kind of weird, right? So like Sunset was bumping in 2015 though after it closed. As sad as it was to see Barrie go, like Sunset, it was happening after that happened, right?
Yeah. It feels like we're on that pathway again. I think, for myself, for Graydon, one of the things I think we first gravitated to racing in Ontario and Canada was the Pinty series, the APC series. But now when we've gotten a bit more experience, we've really taken a love to the smaller divisions, the bone stocks. For myself, the mini stocks. I absolutely love the mini stocks, not just because there's a bajillion of you guys with our podcast Deckle on the race cars, but the fact that the racing is good, and you've got young racers, middle of the road racers, veterans. You got a kid that's like Ryder White out there at 14, 15 years old racing. Layla Walzer's driven in your division, but then you have guys that go out there that race these all different types of vehicles, and for me that's really cool. I just like seeing the different types of vehicles out there, and then obviously the bone stocks, all different types of vehicles there. Cameron, is there a plan to go and move into another division in the future, or are you still aiming championship first, or let's just stick around in mini stocks?
Um, I don't know. Like I'd love to move up, but like I don't know. You look at like super stock, like for the amount of money difference compared to us, for the half second of speed or whatever it is, it just doesn't seem like it's worth the bang for your buck type of thing. Like
Right.
super stock is obviously the best racing. Like if you were at Sunset this weekend, it was better than the APC late model race. Sorry to say it, but it was the show this weekend. And I'd love to do that. Mike Brown gave me an opportunity to drive a super stock at Velocity in 2015, my rookie year. And we had a great time. I made the race. There was like 45 cars. We finished 21st in it. And I'd love to do that again. Maybe, if work keeps going good and things keep trending right, maybe in another, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, maybe I'd like to try something like if the end of my career is coming, I would love to jump into something else and give it a shot. Because like I won a championship in mini stock in 2017, so it's
Yep.
like I've kind of after that I felt like I kind of did what I needed to do in this class. But as time's gone on, I'm like, you know what? There's no shame in being like a Doug Butler, like running mini stock for 15 years or however long he's been doing it. Right? It's super competitive, and like you say, it's a wide range of characters. From you got Bob Finnemore, who's at least 70 something, down to like a Ryder White who I think's like 12 or something like that. So, I mean, it's a great class for diversity, age wise and stuff. So, I don't know. We'll see. Never say never, right?
Yeah, and that's I one thing that was been thrown out by Randy Butler actually, and I think Doug Butler as well, is the idea of a mini stock invitational at Delaware Speedway. I personally love the idea. I would love to see friggin' 60 mini stocks out at Delaware. Right after the bone stock, man, that'd be fun, man. Mini stocks and then a bone stocks and then a mini stocks.
Chef's kiss right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, would you be on board for doing something like that?
I've always wanted to try Delaware, to be honest with you. I've thought about, maybe renting a car there on a Friday night or something like that just to try it. Because, I mean, it'd be cool as hell, if nothing else. But, I mean, I'd have to ask somebody how the gearing would work compared to Sunset. I'm not sure when that race is. I think is it the Pinty's weekend with the APC that they want to do it, or is it the week before that?
I'm not sure when they're planning. I know that they were throwing it out there as would anybody want to? And I was
totally
just
do it. I mean, if my gearing's right and stuff like that, I'd totally be down for it. I mean, as long hopefully you don't blow up. I mean, I feel like
that's the thing.
Sunset, but I mean, you never know. I'd take like Andrea's bone stock down there and go give that a try. Like I'd love to do something like that, So I definitely open for it. It seems like every time I travel somewhere, I break something though. Like I went to Sauble for a big race a couple years ago, and I broke a tranny. And I never have good luck when I leave Sunset, so I just like kind of staying close to home,
Yeah.
There's one big race coming up for you guys, the Allen Lincoln, and obviously that's a touchy subject. It's a sad subject, but I was just wondering if we could get your thoughts on an event being run for him. And he meant so much to Sunset Speedway. Obviously, we're newer to the scene, but to the people in charge of Sunset, they've got a good habit now. They've got the Hanley, they've got the Steve Slaughter. And they did the Bill Zardo earlier this year. I think that's a very moving idea, and I'd like to just hear what you guys have to say, kind of going for that event.
It's going to be a pretty good event. Alan actually started his racing career driving Andrea's bone stock.
Wow.
So we have a pretty close tie. Like, obviously I'm not as close to Alan as a lot of people were. We race against each other. We hung out. We went to Barry Colt's games, stuff like that. So. The plan right now actually is we're in the works of trying to get some 73s made up, and I'm hoping to actually run his number in his race. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, 3 races, and then you take the best average finish is kind of like I think what Frosttoberfest does.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping that they let us maybe put some tires on at some point, maybe after 2 races, even just like give me 4 for the whole thing, whether you do 2 and 2 or whatever.
Yep.
We'll see, but it was really bummer deal what happened to Alan. I mean, he was super young, super great guy. I mean, he interviewed me every time I won in my championship season. He was the MC at the banquet. I mean, he was kind of like what Brendan Doherty is. He was great for the track. He was the face of the track for a long time, and a great young kid. And you hate to see stuff like that happen. And hopefully we can do him proud. And I hope if you own a mini stock in Ontario, I hope that you come out for that event, because Sunset has been doing a great job. It pays pretty good. And Alan would like nothing more than to see 60 cars roll through that gate to try to make 28 spots. So hopefully we can get it done.
I think we make it 73 cars come in to try and make 28 spots. They're even better. One thing that Graydon and I like to make sure that we get to do, and you better have practiced this if you've been listening to the episodes, you know what's coming next. It's an opportunity for you to shout out your partners that get you to the racetrack each and every week. And you've got a lot of them. You've got a lot on that 83 cars. So we'll see how you do in remembering and
go.
Well, first off, obviously I gotta thank you guys, the Stickers N Scuffs podcast, because without people promoting us, sponsors aren't really getting as much bang for their buck as they possibly could. So first off, I'd like to thank you guys. I gotta thank Andrea's parents, Bill and Lisa. Bill basically has rebuilt my whole car. He does all the maintenance. He keeps it at his shop. When we blew up last year, Andrea's mom was actually nice enough to go. She owns 2/3 of my motor that's currently in the car. So we're slightly like Joe Lawrence, powered by mom a little bit there.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, and obviously Andrea does, so much for me with racing. So I have to thank those people, and my dad too. But I have to thank Brittany Crawford Remax, Morecast Construction. Creatures Design did an amazing job with the car this year. Yeah. It looks amazing. If Doug Butler wins the championship, we better get best appearing. That's all I can say. Stack Pancake House on Cundles Road in Barrie. Wendy's a great friend of my dad's. She's been sponsoring me for a couple of years. We got LR Painting. Kawartha Metals has been on us for a couple of years now. EC Concrete. Arbor-Aces Tree Care Inc. actually probably the longest sponsor I've had. Sean's been a great partner for about, I think, all but one of my years of racing. Wow. Really Metal Fabrication, obviously, that's Andrea's parents. And I believe that's it. Let me look at the card. Yeah, I think we're good. Willowdale Chiropractor. Actually, my chiropractor sponsors me. So every time you get in a wreck, you got to get cracked there. So
there you go.
I'm a big fan of the chiropractic. That's a good one. And obviously, I was asking this question, I think, as to Ryder, and then asked the question to Tyler Hahn. Man, you got a food sponsor like a Pancake House. You better be getting some good product out of that, right?
I actually went there for lunch yesterday. So
nice.
Wendy takes pretty good care of me. I may or may not have to pay for my lunches when I go there. So
I'm just saying, if you can win a championship and be able to throw pancakes to the fans as like a celebration, I'm saying that people would remember that. Remember, still the hockey championships a couple years ago, NHL championships with the Ottawa Senators, and they called Hammond the Hamburglar, and he would people would throw McDonald's to him. So I'm sorry, you throw him pancakes out, people would always remember you for that.
Well, I think my nickname's Cast Iron, so I don't know if that's a frying pan or because I'm tough or what that is. But it kind of goes with
I don't know. Frying pan Cameron McGlashan sounds pretty good too.
Yeah, I know. Guess I got a new one here,
Cast Iron, that's a
Flapjack awesome. Cameron McGlashan. We've got a lot of them we could come up with.
Oh, yeah.
But Cameron, how can people join and follow along with your journey? Do you guys have social media that you can shout out?
Yeah, so I have Instagram, McGlashan Motorsports 83, Facebook, McGlashan Motorsports as well, and you can just add me on Facebook if you want, or follow my personal page. I don't really post much on my personal page anymore. I try to keep it all on there, but follow it on there, or follow me on the Stickers N Scuffs page. They post a lot about us too, so wherever you can find me, Sunset Speedway, we'll kind of have it all covered there.
Man, just have to give you a huge shout out for the background. Just before you go, just give us a quick little tour. We like shop tours. Just give us a quick little background tour here before we go. I'm just curious.
So the shelf behind me is all my custom cars. It's every one of my cars that I've ever had made by Daryl and Tammy, from my rookie car to when I drove a car that Rob Tupy gave me. I'm a slightly big Corey LaJoie fan, so I kind of have a name rail there and some other stuff. Sim rigs over here with more diecast in there. I got some local legends over here. I got two of Keith McLeod's cars. and I got an Alan Ingalls car, some Kyle Busch stuff,
Nice.
a bunch of pictures, and then we actually have our suits hanging up here.
Oh, nice.
So with some Bristol pictures up above. So it's a pretty sweet setup. I had a sweet man cave when we first moved in, and then we redid our basement. And Andrea said, we didn't spend all that money to put your stuff back up. So she gave me this little room upstairs, and I jam all my junk in here and come in here and pretend it's like my little Hall of Fame to myself or something. I don't know,
Oh, man, that's pretty awesome looking. Good setup. And thanks a lot for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Hopefully we'll see you at Sunset Speedway here soon.
Yeah, man.
We look forward to it. Cameron McGlashan from Sunset Speedway on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.